Hi, Jan here. Welcome back to my channel. It's 1st of February 2023 already. Can you believe how fast January went? Well, it did for me anyway. I thought I'd just come on as January is now complete and tell you how I got on with the no spend January, which was something that I hadn't in any way, shape or form intended to do right up until New Year's Eve, when at that point I decided that I was going to make Neil a cloak for his birthday, and that would take up all of January's kind of flexible cash. So that meant that we would have what we laughingly refer to as a baked bean month, which would mean that we just live out of basically what we've already got and not spend money on anything that we don't absolutely have to. And I know a lot of other people, when they do these challenges, will set out parameters of how much money they're going to allow each week for whatever. And the only parameter that I set out for myself was the bills have to be paid. So all the regular bills that need paying were going to have to be paid. So the only two flexible areas of my budget have always been food and housekeeping. So when I say food and housekeeping, I mean food, toiletries, cleaning products, all those sort of things that you'd normally buy in your supermarket, and also petrol. So they were the two areas where I intended to not spend any money. So one of the first things that we did first thing that I did, I didn't get any help, was I went to the freezer in the kitchen. I've got an American style fridge freezer in the kitchen, which is very much like the English style one. It's just a little bit wider, and I've got the fridge on top and the three drawer freezer underneath. So I went through that freezer, which was absolutely chock full of bits. When I say bits, they're things that you normally buy in a pack, like frozen vegetables or little bits and pieces that you've eaten a bit of but not all of it, so you stick a clip on the bag and it goes back in the freezer, and then over the months or years or whatever, it just finds its way down to the bottom and you forget that it's even in there. So I knew that there was a lot of that I needed to go through. So I thought the best thing to do is just take everything out of the freezer, which, sorry, I didn't film that for you, it wasn't that interesting. So I thought, empty the entire freezer, have a look at what we've got, what we could really do with using up first. And one of the things that I'd known was in there for a long time, but we'd been not wanting to eat it, was, if you've seen my videos in the past, you'll know that years ago, it might be 3, 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, I bought on Boxing Day, I went to Tesco's and they were selling their Christmas turkeys at a greatly reduced price. I think there was something like £20 odd down to 5. And so I picked up 11 of these turkeys because I thought, well, you're hard pushed to get a chicken for that price. So even though I don't like turkey and it's not a favourite dinner in our house, it's sensible to have it because, from time to time we do go through hard times, and it would be sensible to have it in the freezer because it is a good meat source. So I bought up these 11 turkeys, which over the course of the years have gradually been cooked through and eaten up. We had a couple, I think we had 1 or 2 of them at Christmases. We had family over for Easter one time and used one then. And we were gradually just eating our way through them. But as we came to the last couple, we were just so sick and tired of turkey, and I don't like it anyway, I never have done. But we just couldn't bring ourselves to eat the turkey. So what we were doing was freezing we'd cook it, eat it as normal, but whatever meat was left over would get frozen down, cooked, and go in the freezer. So we found a whole load of these packs of frozen cooked turkey, which I thought, if we're going to do a no spend month, this is an absolutely ideal opportunity to go through all of that stuff that we actually don't really want to eat, but I'm too mean to throw away, remember, I wasn't always thrifty and frugal. Sometimes I was just plain mean. So it was a case of, right, we'd have to start doing meals out of those. And, you know, as I've often said to Neil, as long as there's enough flavouring in there to disguise the taste of the turkey, you know, if we make it into like chilli or put anything with a lot of garlic or chilies in or a lot of flavour, then it kind of disguises the taste of the turkey. So that was the plan, to use those up. And I'm so happy to report back to you that we have eaten all of the turkey. It also gave us a chance to test out, I think it was in some of the shopping halls just before Christmas or around about Christmas time. I'd picked up some of the Sainsbury's own chilli sauces. There was a mild sauce and a hotter sauce. And I'd also picked up a Sainsbury's own sweet and sour sauce and a Sainsbury's own curry sauce. And I said I would let you know how they were after we'd tried them. The 2 chilli sauces were an absolute win. I would definitely buy those again. I enjoyed those even though they had turkey in them. So we just cooked those by, we just heated the turkey up in the sauce, threw in a handful of mixed frozen vegetables and called it done, and ate it with rice, I think. So we had those. There was also lots and lots of odds and ends of things. Where we've had my son here a lot of time over the last few years, especially during lockdown periods where he chose to lock down with us because we've got a better Wi-Fi connection than he had elsewhere. So if we had a pack of, say, 4 quarter-pounder burgers and there were 3 of us, there'd be an odd one left over, or 4 pieces of fish. We had a lot of odd ones left over. And also there were bags of chips and potato type frozen, shove it in the oven and cook it type of products, which I tend not to buy those, but both my son and Neil will buy those and think, you know, but they don't use them all, and so there might be like, you know, sort of a couple left in one pack and then they start the next pack, and there were lots of all different types of these. So in the end I just threw them all together in one and said, right, we'll just cook them all up together. And I don't think there was even it may have spread over 2 meals, but I think it was either 1 or 2 meals it got spread over. But eventually all those bits of potato got eaten up. We had some odd bits of rolls, so, you know, the odd burger bun, a finger roll for a hot dog. There were a couple of bits and pieces of bready type things, so we got those all finished off, so that was really good. I keep quite a few homemade pre-cooked meals in that freezer, so they all need rotating from time to time. So we've had a couple of meals of stewed lamb. I say a couple, may have been 3 times. I should have written down every day what we were eating so I could give you a better idea, but we did have quite a few frozen lamb meals, and what I'd done with those, and for some reason never thought of doing before, is I'd portion them as a single portion in a what's the word I'm looking for, the bag that you suck the air out of, vacuum sealer bags. Sorry about that, my brain's going. I'd use vacuum seal bags, so I had several individual portions. And I said to Neil, why are we taking these out of the bag, making a saucepan dirty, warming it up? Why don't we just boil a saucepan of water and literally sous vide? I think that's the expression we're looking for. Literally just throw them in and open the bag when it's all heated through and it's nice and warm. And so that's what we've done with those, and I think I will go ahead and do that in future because it just made more sense. We also had several, I'm not sure if I actually showed you it before Christmas, but I'd made a huge quantities of individual shepherd's pies. I think there were about 22 of them, and there's still a good few in the freezer. I like to have a lot of food that is pre-made, so that if if either of us are ill, or on a day like today where it's Wednesday today, that means I'm meeting my friend for a drink this afternoon, so won't want to come home from the pub and start cooking, so that'll mean that a pre-cooked dinner will just be absolutely perfect for tonight. So I like to have some of those for nights like tonight, or times when you might otherwise want to get a takeaway. Or there are times when neither of us feel well enough to prepare food for ourselves. So I like to have everything ready to go just in case. So there's emergency TV dinners there. So the whole eating out of that freezer has been an enormous success. So, you know, there's a lot more space in there. It's given me enough space to bring all the milk that I had frozen in another freezer forward into that freezer, because we weren't using it because it meant going through to the other room with the other freezer, and it had a load of milk piled on top, meat piled on top of it. But we'd bought, again several years ago, they had a load of 1 pint bottles of milk in Sainsbury's, reduced from, at the time, this will show you how long ago it was, at the time they were 50p or 55p, and they were reduced down to 10p. So I said, well, we'll just load up on those. And so I can't remember how many we got at the time, but we brought them home. They went in the freezer and they've been sat there ever since, because whenever we get low on milk, I'm the only one who'll think to go and get a new one out. But even then I forget sometimes. So rather than go and buy new, we've got all these that could frankly do with using up, because they've been in the freezer for forever. And yes, I keep things in the freezer far longer than most people would, but the way I look at it is, once it's frozen, it's in stasis. It's not going to change. It's occasionally things might get freezer burn, but that isn't going to change the actual I was going to say edibility, but that's not a word at all. But things with freezer burn are still perfectly safe to eat. They may have a slight difference in flavour, but to be quite honest, not really enough that I've noticed most of the time. And, you know, the frozen milk, it was semi-skim milk. It did need a really good shake once it's defrosted, because some of the fats in the milk tended to adhere to the side of the bottle. But after a really good shake, it wasn't off, it was perfectly good to use. And we have porridge every day, which I was going to get onto in a minute, but perfectly good for cheese sauces or porridge or something like that. Not quite so good in a cup of tea, because this fat separation, it's not that it tastes off, it just doesn't look appealing. So I've been gradually working through those, and I think I've only got about 20 pints left now, but it means that we haven't needed to get any milk during the whole of January. I have a bread freezer, so I've got a freezer that has all sorts of bread and bagels and ciabattas and bread type products in it, so we were able to use those bits and pieces. We've started some of the open packets of vegetables that had been started and just clipped up. We're starting to work our way through those so that we can have some fresh ones in there. So that's been absolutely excellent for using up odds and ends, which were mainly in the kitchen freezer. As for the long-term storage cupboard that I've shown you in videos of my prepper pantry, we've used a few bits and pieces out of there, but we tend to eat not those sort of foods on a regular basis. So I think we've had a tin of tuna. We used, I baked a couple of cakes, so I had a bag of caster sugar. We ran out of gravy granules, so we took a gravy granules, and then, as I say, there were the 2 jars of chilli sauce, the sweet and sour sauce and the curry sauce. There's 4 jars of sauces. Of course, we've been going through the tins of dog food. They have, because the kibble is a complete food and they have that morning and evening every day. We just like to add, you know, just a spoonful of tinned food to it, just to give it a little bit of interest, a bit of flavour for it, rather than nutritional needs. So we've been going through a tin of dog food every day, and I think we've gone through maybe 1.5 bags of the kibble. So that's not, you haven't seen the pile in there really go down drastically, because they don't actually eat through it that fast. But it's been really good way of testing our prepper storage, because over the years we've had to use our prepper food for various reasons. We've had illness, either myself or Neil. We've had bereavements on both sides of the family. We've had sudden unexpected loss of income, and all these things mean that that's when you're really pushing and testing your preps. So they have been tested in the past, but this has been the first time that I have really challenged it to see if we suddenly got, and of course during the pandemic we were eating out of our preps, whereas other people were queuing all around Sainsbury's car park trying to get bits and pieces. But I think it's been a really good exercise in just really challenging my preps to see if I had weaknesses in any area, and so that I can address that in future. But I have to say that we've got through the entire month, and we've been eating well all through the month. We tend to have porridge for breakfast every day, and our porridge is made with milk and water. So I do 1/3 of a cup of oats each for us, a pint of milk each, and 1/2 pint of water each, and that's how I cook it up. So we've had, and we like to have porridge in the winter because it's a nice warming start to the day. So we've had porridge every day for breakfast. Our lunches tend to be a bread meal, so it will be not so much a sandwich this time of year, but it'll be something on toast, be it egg or beans, or we've had some soups. In the freezer I had some lentil and chilli soup that was homemade, needed eating up. I had leek and potato soup. We've had several of those. So we'd have those with some bread type product, and as I was saying earlier, it might be a loaf of bread, ciabatta, tortilla wraps, pita breads, crumpets, bagels, ciabatta, I might have said that already, but all those bread type things, that's what we would use as a basis for our lunch, and then add usually egg or beans or maybe tuna, some sort of protein type of thing, or a soup to it, and that's our lunchtime meal. And then evening meals has been, as I say, there've been quite a lot of turkey curry, turkey chilli, sweet and sour turkey, which was horrible. And I would not recommend that one again. We've also had, I had some chicken breasts out of the back freezer, so we cooked those up with rosemary, which grows in the garden, and garlic, which I had plenty of in the fridge. And we do that as a poached chicken, and we had that with dauphinoise potatoes. I'd sliced all the potatoes and put them in a pan and frozen them, but when it came to cooking them, I had some cream left over from Christmas, so I just poured that over the top, and that made beautiful dauphinoise potatoes. There was enough there for 2 dinners each, so we had that Monday and Tuesday to get it all used up. So we've been doing really well. We've had, as I say, 3 good meals every day. We've had, I noticed in the fridge this morning there's only 1 butter left. I've been using up, I've had some cooking margarine in that fridge for too long, so I've been making some cakes to use that up, and went through my drawer of cake things, so managed to pick out a few bits from in there that could have done with using up. So we've had, I just made a 3rd one yesterday, so that's 3 cakes over the period of a month. Fruit cakes, so I've been using up dried fruits and Had some stem ginger in there which got used up in one of them. Had some nuts in there which got thrown into yesterday. So just using up odds and ends. But I'm just really patting myself on the back because I hadn't planned to do this no spend January at all. And yet I've managed to get through the month and spend not a single penny on food, toiletries, cleaning products. You know, I had enough of everything that we needed. I must admit we went out for dinner twice. It was Neil's birthday in the middle of the month. He wanted to go to the cinema and he wanted to go to Pizza Hut first, so we did go to Pizza Hut, but I'm not classing that as part of the no spend because that is something that Neil wanted to do, so Neil paid for it, so that didn't cost me a penny. And then last week he wanted to go back to Pizza Hut. He got very stressed over it wasn't actually doing his tax return, it was logging in to register his tax return, and he just couldn't get logged into the government's website, and has been happening to loads of other people because I see it all over social media that people have been having problems logging on, trying to phone through. 4 times he phoned through, actually managed to speak to somebody, but the phone went dead within 5 minutes without the problem being resolved. And he just got so stressed over that he said, come on, I want another pizza. And I said, well, look, I'm on no spend. He said, it's all right, I'll pay. So fair enough. We had 2 meals out during the month, but 31-day month, that's only 2 meals out. Still 29 days managed to feed us from our freezers, our cold storage and the fridge. And as I say, we've eaten well all through the month, if not always enjoyably. But the turkey is now completely gone, which is such a wonderful thing. Right now I'm sat here in the spare bedroom, still sat at the table with the sewing machines up because I've got some more sewing projects that I wanted to get on and do. But I did want to show you the cloak and talk about the cloak, so that's going to be my next video. And I don't know if you can hear, I've got a ticking time bomb, well it's actually an egg. I was just wanting to see if I could time myself, because from here I can't see the numbers on the camera to see if I'm about to run out of time or not. But I'm within time, and I think I've said everything that I needed to. So I want to if you've been with me this long, then thank you very, very much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe, hit the like, hit the thumbs up, because that really does help, and drop a comment down below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Now, my problem is going to be that I can start this camera using my phone, but I don't know if it's saying that it's lost connection, so I think I'm going to have to come round to turn it off. So I'll say goodbye now, and you'll see me coming round. Okay, lots of love. Bye. Got to move the table so I can get round it both sides.